Hello you guys, welcome back, and today we are sketching at one of the historic parks in Hong Kong. Hey guys, it's Becky, your local urban sketcher from Hong Kong, and today we're in one of the historic parks in Hong Kong. It's called Kowloon Walled City Park. I got really lucky and I have a friend who took me around and showed me what the place is. Basically, it's one of a territory or an area in Hong Kong that it's just chock full with history. It's been like a lawless ground. It's also been like trying to be taken over by like several different governments throughout the whole history, from basically I think about like 1800s or even prior all the way till now. And it's just it's right in the middle of Hong Kong's Kowloon Island, and I just thought that it's such a great place to be, and it's my first time being here actually, which is quite surprising given how accessible it is. It's only basically like a 10-minute walk from a subway station. And I just think that it's such a great way to be in touch with history, especially because as a newcomer to the city, I guess not really a newcomer, I've lived here for about 8 years, but I think it's just always great to learn about the history of the place that you've lived in and be engaged with the culture that's around it, especially because people around here, they have their own little subculture, and just like every neighborhood is their own subculture. It's just really great to be here. Anyways, to the sketch. So I'm set up with this like really great easel that my friend Jared Cullum, you might know him, he's great, made me. And this is the sketch that I basically just did over the past half hour. It's a really compact setup. Let me show you real quick. So this is the art toolkit, which I filled in with gouache. I spilled this out, and that's why it's empty. This is a water cup. I think it's a C2 Summit collapsible water cup. This is just a Strathmore watercolor travel pad, which I've been using for the past few videos. I've got my gouache setup right here. So this is I think the A5 size is what it came with, and then I just basically store all my gouache tubes right here, along with some water brushes. I mainly try to re-wet this, but whenever I need like fresh paint, I'll just pull it out from the tube, squeeze it out, and then you just have fresh gouache to go. And I think one thing that I love about this setup is like it's so compact. It just lives in my backpack now. I think like I just started using this setup like 2 days ago, and so it means like this is my 3rd day using the setup. And like for the past 3 days, I've sketched outside every day, which I think goes to show with like the benefits of having a convenient setup, because that just allows you to sketch even more and even more frequently. So I think above anything else, no matter what you want to do, I think convenience should take precedence. Like it should not be like you're trying to create like a great masterpiece all the time, because what's important is frequency, and the more practice you get, the greater it will be. I also wanted to talk a little bit about kind of like being lost a little bit with this channel. So over the past few videos, you might have seen I've gone a little bit wild with like just like the beginning parts of it, like the editing part of it, because I always thought that, you know, with every video I just need to get better and better and better, and that's kind of how you improve, right? Like if you're trying to start a channel on YouTube, you're just trying to want to be better with every upload. But I think I was focusing on the wrong thing. I was focusing on editing it better and making it look better. But really what I should be focused on is actually my sketching skills. Like that's what I should be focused on, getting better and better with every video. Because at the end of the day, it's the content itself. It's not the editing, it's not the filming. It's the story, it's the content that really matters. Well, it's good to know that that's the direction that I was heading and to course correct myself. So hopefully now you can see more improvements, or at least I'm excited to see more improvements within myself. Now, let's get sketching. To start off this painting, I wanted to put a wash over it, so I actually sprayed down the paper a little bit with some mist and some water in order to make sure that the paper is a little bit damp and a little bit wet, so that when I put color on it, it doesn't just sink in, but it kind of bleeds a little bit and it becomes a little bit softer. And I have also a tendency to paint my stuff really cool in color. Basically, there's a technique in a painting where there is a warm and a cool, and basically the warms would be like the reds, the oranges, the really fiery colors, and the cools would be like the blues, the greens, and such. And because of that, I just decided to kind of shift my painting to be a little bit warmer by using a warm underpainting. So that's one of the reasons why I picked a super bright yellow for my underpainting color, is so that everything that I put on top of it becomes a little bit more warm, because I plan to paint a little bit more opaquely. So the yellow won't really shine through, but I think the tone and the hue does come through in the end. And in addition, the reason why I use yellow and not burnt sienna is because I think this yellow, because of its tinting strength, it just provides like a really good mid-tone. I think I've always struggled in trying to make sure that the painting is light enough or dark enough. Usually it's the case of not being dark enough, and then when it's a very bright day, it's not light enough because I'm just trying to overcompensate the super bright light with like really dark colors. So I think starting mid-tone with a yellow is quite nice. And I'm just using my art toolkit here that you've seen earlier to do my gouache. I didn't really squeeze out a lot of new colors apart from a white, and I think a little bit of a Prussian blue, because I am a little bit out of black in that palette and I just wanted something to bring down the brightness. Like I wanted a dark color in order to mix a wide value of color ranges in terms of brightness. So I can mix the bright brights, and I can also mix the dark darks with the Prussian blue mixed into it. So here I'm just trying to put in everything as shapes. Like I did basically draw the shape of the pond a little bit, but really I just wanted to put everything down as shapes. I'm really thinking in my head, how do I merge this whole big rock shape together? Can I sketch them in as planes? Like if I put in the warm white light of the reflection on the rocks, does it read as a plane? And I think this is really a struggle. Like rocks are really hard to get right, especially in a group form, because you just kind of have to add in all those little details. So this is where you just have to trust the process, and you just have to put in one plane at a time, one color at a time, wait for the gouache to dry, because there's always a color shift. And then you can see like, oh, it's not dark enough, so let me just add in the colors right here to make sure that the sides that are in shadow are a little bit darker than the sides that are in light. I'll keep those shadow sides a little bit cooler as well versus the warm light. And I'm doing that for all of the rocks, which is basically scattered across the whole sketch here. If you see the time lapse, I do go back to it like multiple times, just because I'm just really not satisfied with how the plane of the rock is looking. But it's one of those cases where you just keep going and keep practicing, and then maybe one day you'll be happy, or maybe it'll be good enough, or you'll be able to pinpoint what exactly you should add to make it read a little bit better. Instead of fiddling with the rocks too much though, I do still want to focus on the rest of the painting as well, and there's all of these plants that are around the lake, so I wanted to start working on those, putting it in the bottom left corner, putting it in the middle, and also sort of to the side, and also all around the pond. So I'm just trying to use a smaller round brush to put this in, mainly because it's easier to get the shape of the leaves that way instead of using my thick 3/4 flat inch brush. And although it was good for the big shapes,
I think this is a point in the sketch where I can move to this smaller brush and it's okay. So I'm just adding in a little bit of the final details. I can honestly get stuck in this stage forever, but the important thing to remember is I just need this to read well in a scene. Kind of step back and see if I'm happy with what I draw and if it reflects the environment that I'm in. After a little bit of dry brushing on the tree bark, which is one of my favorite things to do, is to slap on texture with some dry brush. And the way I do that is usually I dip my paintbrush in the paint pile and then I rub off the edge of the brush to like a Kleenex just to get all the water out, and I do some test marks on the kitchen towel itself that I have hanging on the easel. And if I'm happy with those marks, then I will bring my brush across the page because then I know that I'm gonna get the texture that I like. And without further ado, the sketch is done.
Alright, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much again for tuning in. It's always appreciated that you would spend your time and hang out with me. And if you're interested in more videos like this, we got a lot of them coming for you. Alright, take care, happy sketching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!